What's going on, everybody? It's Brian Tripp. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Live podcast, where we interview the very best real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and business leaders all throughout this great country. And today I am honored to be joined by Mr. Richard Roop. How's it going today, Richard?
I am doing awesome, Brian. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, a little under the weather. So if you kind of hear me,
but you look marvelous and you sound marvelous. So
thank you. We'll see how long that lasts. So, but Richard, this is really interesting because I didn't even know who you were a year ago, and
Then why did you put me on your podcast a year ago?
I'm getting to that. So I've learned a lot about you, and apparently, you correct me if I'm wrong, apparently you are the real estate investors marketing just master. And that's where you kind of got that's what you're known for, I should say. That's what you've been known for. Took a little bit of a sabbatical, which we can talk about just a little bit. We did a whole entire different interview about that about a year ago, and we could talk about that later. But really, just Richard, I want to kind of start off by asking you, how did you kind of become known as the marketing guru, the marketing master within the real estate investing space? How did you become known as that?
Sharing my business, sharing my marketing tools, sharing my marketing strategies. I was in marketing before I got into real estate. Okay. So I was the marketing director for Advanced Neurodynamics. It's a personal growth and development company. Today it's called NLP.com. Okay. And that was back in the 80s, early 90s. And that's how I learned marketing, building that business. Is kind of like a startup. And we did books, tapes, seminars on neuro-linguistic programming, and created a program called The Secret of Creating Your Future, advanced goal setting, seminar. And we created a home study course that Nightingale Conant published. And we did an infomercial with celebrities and stuff and sold it on TV. And I learned marketing by studying the marketing gurus. Okay. Dan Kennedy, Jay Abraham, Ted Nicholas, Gary Halbert. And I learned copywriting. I learned direct response marketing. And I used that to solve the sales problems that we had in the business. We were trying to sell stuff, right? But you needed to have a good sales message. You want your sales presentation in print, and then you want to get that out to the right people in different ways, right? And so then, because of what I learned and my success, I felt I could just go into any company and help them increase their sales and profit. So I left that company in '94, became a marketing consultant. A year later, I after researching the best places to live, work, retire, and own real estate, because I did buy a couple of houses in Hawaii during this time period, and it was during the Japanese, bubble, and the houses doubled in value. 2 brand new townhomes doubled in value in a couple of years, and so I kind of got excited about real estate, or wanted to buy real estate, but I was still not as an active investor. So I found a good place to move to Colorado, and within a year, I started, I got Ron LeGrand's stuff, Ron, okay. So I bought other people's stuff, but I went to one of his conventions. I got all his course modules, and that launched my business. And what I liked about Ron is all of his stuff had a good marketing angle to it, because he's an outstanding marketer, okay. And so I got like the Carlton Sheets course, and it was kind of weak, but I really liked Ron's stuff. So I started using my copywriting and graphic design capabilities to create advertorials on, articles about how Richard Roop buys houses, right?
Richard, real quick, what year was this? What time frame is this?
1996.
Wow.
So in 1996 is when I got started in January. With Ron's stuff. I did my first lease option within 30 days on a referral. I bought my first fixer upper within 4 months, kind of a fix and flip. But then I started buying a house a month, but I gravitated towards pretty houses because my marketing's, everybody, a lot of the marketing out there was like, we buy houses cash, right? We buy houses cash, and people still do that. So, but I was getting, but I changed it to sell your house in 9 days or less at no cost to you. So that was my headline. So there's a bunch of benefits in that headline. And then I had a sales letter that looked like an article. And then I'd put that on a postcard or in the newspaper or on a flyer. And that was my main marketing message. And I would put it over on the front of a shopper magazine and hit everybody in my my community. I was in a small community. We had a community magazine that went to 18,000 homes. And I'd run that thing, cost me about $800. And I would buy a couple houses. I would wind up raising a bunch of private money. And one time I bought 2 houses and I sold 7 of my houses, and I raised about $250,000 in private money, all for $800,
Well, Richard, let me interject real quick. So you were working for and with some of the bigger brands as a marketing consultant, first on staff, then it sounds like as a consultant. And
but not the bigger brands, more entrepreneurs. I've never been in the corporate. I've never been to college. I learned it's all self-study. Okay. But yeah, working with entrepreneurial companies. Yeah.
So having success doing that, learning a lot and implementing, having some success with that. What made you gravitate to real estate? Like why did you start even doing all this with real estate? You bought some courses and you thought it was interesting? Like why'd you get into real estate?
Well, I always like figuring out ways to make money. Okay. I've always been kind of an entrepreneur. I collected coins. I'd collect, bottles and return those. There are all kinds of ways as a kid growing up. So I was in the Air Force for 5 years. And when I was in the Air Force, I actually started Richard Roop Marketing and Advertising when I was like 23 years old. This is back in 21 years old. 1984. Remember when the Macintosh came out in 1984?
What are you talking about? I was born in 79.
That's a long time ago. Well, I was in the Air Force. I was delivering pizza to make extra money, besides my Air Force job, working on planes. And they didn't have a menu. And the Macintosh just came out, and it had all these graphic capabilities. And so I created this menu for the pizza place. And I brought it to the lady. I said, you should send this menu out with your pizzas, because they weren't sending menus out with their pizza. I'm saying they're missing opportunities. Well, she said, you got to go talk to the lady at the food services, but this is great. I talked to her, and she wanted me to do that for all the bowling alley and the auto hobby shop and everything on base. So I got a government contract for doing marketing and advertising. And then the next year I published the military discount coupon book, where I sold ads to people down in Fairbanks. This was in Alaska. Down in Fairbanks, Alaska, I'd go into businesses and I'd say, hey, you want a page in this coupon book? It's $300. I'm going to give these coupon books to all the military coming in. And so I did that for a couple of years, very successful. And that's how I learned personal growth and development. I started, listening to tapes, reading books. I was on all these income opportunity lists, so I was just always looking for opportunities. When I decided to get out and move with my wife to Hawaii, she got stationed in Hawaii. I got out. I read a book, How to Make $100,000 a Year as a Stockbroker, No Experience Necessary. And I go, I qualify. So I go to Hawaii all excited, new wife, the sky's the limit. And I applied for some stock brokerage firms, and I got hired by a company because they were looking for attitude, not skill. They'll teach you, right, if you have the right attitude. And that's where I met my next business partner, where we built Advanced Neurodynamics. He came in and spoke the 5-step sales process using NLP on the phone, because I was doing phone work. And then I'd rather help people improve their lives with his information than sell investments over the phone, cold calling and all that. While I was in Hawaii, I used my VA eligibility. I bought some real estate courses because that was one of the money-making things I bought, right? I bought a brand new townhome, no money down, with my VA, but I had to qualify. We lived there for a year, and then in the same subdivision, we bought another brand new townhome. We moved into that, rented the other one out.
What made you decide to rent that out? What made you decide to do that?
Well, I was successful. We wanted a bigger place. The first place is only 640 square
But
feet.
why not just sell it instead of rent it out?
Didn't need the money. Well, of course, you learn. You're told you want to own real estate, right? So there was no reason to sell it. I didn't need the money. I was making good money. My business was growing, and I wanted rental income. I wa- and I, oh because and that I thought might go up in value, and it was going up in value. Okay. So the other house I bought, I only lived there for a year until I decided to sell both of them. The first one I bought with my VA loan, no money down, for 79,000. I sold it for 179,000. This was the Japanese housing bubble in the late 80s. And then the second one we bought with my wife's VA, no money down. That's what I learned in those books. That's how to do no money down. We bought it for 123, brand new, sold it for 203 a year later. I sold both of those, and I picked a lot overlooking the ocean and built an executive home. So I put all that money back into real estate.
So Richard, at this point, are you just like you're getting these courses, the Ron LeGrand stuff, the Carlton Sheets stuff? You're looking at these courses and you see the potential, and you're actually using some of the strategies. At some point, does it just kind of click in your mind that like I could do this better? Now that I know the strategies, I can market this stuff a lot better than how they're teaching to market it. Is that kind of where it all started for you?
Well, first I needed to learn a model that was kind of marketable. Okay. The Carlton, the Robert Allen books and the Carlton Sheets. Okay. This was after I moved to Colorado in 95. Okay. So I'm a marketing consultant. So those are the only two houses I bought. Right. And then when the bubble, okay, when I decided to sell those, like around 1994, when I saw the bubble kind of peaking, I had all my money tied up in this executive property. So I used my marketing to advertise a bid sell, sold it in one weekend, got 60 people to the open house, and had them bid up to the price. No other home had sold for over 400,000 in that neighborhood, and I sold it for 410 because I had to. But I had to do, I sent out, I created an advertorial. I created a sales letter. I put it on, I ran it in the newspaper. It looks like an article. I copied that, put it on a postcard, mailed it to doctors and dentists and veterinarians and people I thought had money. And then of course, signs in all different ways to get a bunch of people to sell my house in one weekend. And so I wrote a book, How to Sell Your Home in 9 Days. That was my first book.
And
it was a marketing book on how I sold my house for sale by owner without an agent.
Were people already doing that? Were people already doing like books as marketing tools? Where did you get that idea?
Oh, Dan Kennedy and my marketing mentors. I mean, yeah, you always a book. You don't write a book. I wanted a product. Okay, I wanted to have a product to sell, through online or through mail order and stuff. And so I wanted a product. But it's books. You don't write a book and sell books to make money. It's a lead generator. It's for credit. It's a business card. But that's what I know now.
Yeah, I was about to say we know that now, but nobody who was doing that though. No, like
I was creating a mail order business with Advanced Neurodynamics. We were selling books, tapes, and seminars through direct mail. Creating products and shipping them, and I was building a catalog, and that's so you have like your free stuff, right? And then you have your low cost products like books, and then you got your $300 home study courses, and then you got your $5,000 certification trainings. It hasn't changed. It's
Richard was and you did a lot of real estate, and you've done a lot of real estate, guys. Yeah. Real quick, if you want to watch a full length, I did an hour with Richard about his journey, about how he's bought tons and tons of real estate, lost it all, and was gone from real estate for, what was it, 5 years, Richard? Yeah. We did a separate show on all of that. It's fascinating. It's a huge warning to people who are already in the industry. I'm going to link that up in the description. Highly encourage you guys to check that out. But Richard, here's what I want to ask
and
you.
by the way, I wouldn't put the fear on that. I think it's good to know, because I can't tell anybody to do anything differently to avoid what happened to me, because I was kind of targeted. But there's always, everybody wants to know what did you learn and how do you avoid it and all that. So absolutely. So it was a great interview.
Here's what I want to ask you though. Just based on some stuff that you just got done saying, it sounds to me like, and there's nothing wrong with this, but it sounds to me like you were always more fascinated in the marketing and sales and product portion of real estate versus the actual buying and selling of the real estate. Is that fair to say?
I went from, marketing products and services, like mail order, right? Personal growth and development. Then I started I took my marketing skills. I did a joint venture with Jay Abraham, and I went to his event a couple times, and that really changed my life. As far as I can go into any business, today I can go into any business and increase their sales and profits, any business. Okay. And I know how to do that. And so what I like to do is work with businesses that have that potential. I don't have to create a business. I can just go into a business like yours and say, okay, what are your goals? What are you doing now? What do you want to change? And you can do that through sales and marketing and leverage and all that stuff. So I was a marketing consultant, but the reason why I was interested in real estate is because I was charging $200 an hour, but my time is limited, and I'd spend half that time getting clients, right? And then I had expenses. So that's why I wanted a product. So I could sell 100,000 books, right at once, and sell a bunch, right? So that's why I like about products. Leverage yourself. So we associate with a lot of like real estate influencers and coaches and stuff. And one of the ways, a lot of times when they're successful, they get to a point where they're not leveraging themselves. They're at capacity because there's only so many hours in the day. So there's a lot of ways to leverage your time. And one is through publishing. So I learned publishing. Okay. So when I got Ron's stuff in '96 and I started buying houses, I just naturally used my successful business background, which is, and my marketing skills to create some of the most amazing marketing tools for real estate investors. I created them for myself. You asked me how I got started. Well, I thought I was so smart. I was successful. For 3 years, I never went to like one of Ron's boot camps, which he would do all the time, right? But I started about 3 years later, I went to one of his live events, customer appreciation event. I was trying to do it all myself. And that was a mistake, because you really want to associate with like-minded people all the time and network and all that. And so I went to his event, and I walked up to him and I said, Ron, here's the article that I'm running in the Shopper magazine, right? And he looked at it and he knew instantly that it was great, right? Just because it looked the way it looked and the headline and all that. He said, hey, I want you to come up on stage and talk about it. So then and then he had a guerrilla marketing boot camp, which I started going to. You could repeat it, and I went to all of them. And on the last one, well, he would always pull me up on stage at all of his events to teach marketing. And so I started creating products that I could sell to his audience and other people's audiences. Basically, in 2001, I created a weekend course, and I recorded it, and I just taught what I did in my business, creative real estate. Okay. So ugly houses and pretty houses, owner financing and lease options, right? It's just, I was just teaching what I was doing, but I was giving them all of my marketing tools and teaching them how to use it. And so I build myself as the marketing consultant for real estate entrepreneurs. And a lot of the most successful gurus out there that have been around a long time, a lot of them are my students.
Yes. And so this is the fascinating thing to me, because I do run in these circles as you do, and I kind of know who I know, kind of the folks. I don't know. I kind of got started and got taught by kind of what I think is like the second wave of kind of gurus, if you will. The first wave of gurus, you mentioned the Carlton Sheets, the Ron LeGrands. These are the folks that I hear of, but wasn't really never coached by them directly. I
Right.
was coached by and learned from the folks who kind of learned from them.
Right.
And now
That's,
maybe I'm
yep.
part of this third generation. This is kind of how I think of it in my mind, of folks who are kind of leading this next group of folks kind of up.
But Brian, you know what's amazing? That's what I like, is I like not all what's new and newfangled. It's the overall strategies that never change, that are evergreen, that always work. And in marketing, it's absolutely the truth. What worked 30 years ago in marketing, having a great message geared to the right audience and narrowly targeting that audience, nurturing that audience, and hitting them over and over and over with different types of media. That's how you make a marketing campaign. Different messages to different markets with different media. That's a campaign. And so
let's
yeah.
dig into this. So we've been going at this for 20 or so minutes and really just kind of getting the origin, the background, so that we can now move forward and let's talk about what's working today. That maybe what's working best today, because you're still at it. You're still consulting with people. You guys are. I know I met some folks down in Tampa a couple of months ago who you're actually doing business with and getting deals with. So you're in it now, Richard. Not just in it years ago, you're doing it now, testing, constantly refining what's working. So I want to spend the rest of the show talking about what's working well right now. But this is interesting. You just got done saying that marketing really doesn't change. You need to have a great message. Maybe the medium in which you're using it has changed. Facebook didn't exist. Social media really didn't exist. So I want you to kind of talk to that point. The messaging may not have changed too much, but people have changed. This millennials are think a little bit differently and maybe respond to things a little bit differently. The mediums have changed. We're not printing stuff in magazines really anymore, newspapers anymore. Everything's kind of digitalized on social media and things. Talk about how much things have changed maybe in the last 10, 15 years and how you've had to change because of that.
Well, it's easy for me because I used to teach people how to, here's what I do. I'd say, look, here's how you select a yellow page book to advertise in. Here's how you get free advertising throughout the book or 90 cents off the dollar by buying remnant space. Okay. And that's in a physical yellow page book, right? Well, today, I'm doing remnant space, which you can do on radio and TV. Right. I'm doing it with direct mail. Nobody knows about this. Now, this is brand new. I just started teaching it at my last boot camp. I had a boot camp in October, and it was a marketing boot camp. It was all about marketing for real estate investors. First boot camp in 8 years. And the one I did before that was strategic marketing secrets for real estate entrepreneurs, which is still a home study course. And one of the best programs that I've ever done, because I started coaching, I got one of the best coaching programs on the planet, started in 2005. But the best program I ever did was my joint venture partnership program, where we would put them in coaching, but then I would work with them on help. I would generate their leads using my best campaign, which I'll talk about, and how it changed, what's different today. This is like in 2011, 2013, 14, that type of thing. And then I would structure all the deals with them. I have software that makes it quick. Then I would actually do the call with them to the seller. I would actually, instead of teaching them how to talk to the seller, I would do it for them so they could learn by doing. So it was an on-the-job thing. One of the most successful things I ever done, right? And then it's like all done for you real estate investing. But because I created all the training and I have a huge library. I call it the Roop Legacy Library. It's all still good. Some of it's outdated because of, like you said, technology, right? But one of the most innovative marketing campaigns I've done, which is a little small Post-it note that you put on people's doors, that What, you've seen those before? Yeah.
Can I tell you the story real quick?
Okay. Okay.
Do you know Scott Jelinek? He's
Yeah.
he's a really good friend of mine, and he's been doing seminars now in his local market of Virginia Beach, Norfolk area for about since 2016. And just at the family reunion event that where I met you physically, well, I guess for the second time, but where I just saw you a few months ago, he told me that for years he had been telling his students, hey, go to this website. You can order this thing called a Roop note. He's like, I didn't even know what the hell a Roop note was, but that's what it was called, and that's what they called it. On the website, they called it this. This is not your website, by the way, Richard. This is a completely third-party, independent thing, and it literally says underneath it, Roop note. And he's like, he's been using these for years and years and years, had no idea who you were, had no idea that you created these things. And there they are on a third, and he's telling all his students to go get these Roop notes because you can peel them off and stick them on people's doors. It's unbelievable.
It's an amazing campaign. It's very simple. I created it once, and it's been and people have been using it for 18 years. That website is the discountprinter.com. Okay. And so when I came back into the real estate about a year and a half ago, I was reaching out to, reconnecting with everybody. And I came across, I was uploading all my old programs back into a new website and everything. And I came across the discount printer. So I went, actually called them up. Okay, so of course, I was searching online for see what I could find of my stuff online, and I found my Post-it note. So I called him up. He now, the only thing he sells today, this is like 18 years ago, and I'm not getting paid, even though it's my template. He was going to give me Post-it notes, right? So he probably owes me 1 million, Post-it notes or whatever. But I called him up, and he's kind of retiring, but he's the only two things he still sells in his business is customized pins and Post-it notes. That's it. He's a printer, but he just got this automatic traffic coming in, I guess. And he wants to take it easy.
It's unbelievable to know the impact that you've had on our industry, I guess in the past. But I want to go back and focus on what's working today, Richard, to really kind of help some folks. You mentioned Remnant Space, which I used to do TV ads. I used to do radio, and we used to buy up Remnant Space, this extra, this buying radio ads in the middle of the night where nobody was using this stuff and doing it in bulk, so you could get just incredible deals.
Because if they didn't sell it to you at a discount,
it'd be dead air.
It's gone.
Yeah,
it's air, right? Okay.
Well, so how are you doing that right now with direct mail? How does that apply to direct mail? How are you doing that? How can we learn about this stuff so we can start using this in our business today?
Well, that's in my new home study course.
Well, come on, we want the goods.
I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. All right. So I discovered this. Nobody's doing this. Nobody knows about this. Okay. It's called discount zones. Discount zones. Okay.
Are you saying zones? What are you saying?
Discount zones.
ZONES.
Zone. ZONES. Yes. Discount zones. And so I started a done for you mailing service back in the early 2000s where we printed my advertorial, right, on an oversized postcard, front and back, and we'd mail to everybody in a carrier route. Every door, it wasn't called every door direct mail then, it was called enhanced carrier route walk sequence saturation. And I used to, I published articles, you can find them now, how to print and mail oversized postcards for 12 cents each, printed and delivered. 12 cents. Okay, that's how you did it. So we did it. That was one of my campaigns. Then we started targeting high equity sellers and out area owners with a personal looking small postcard called the merged postcard, which I taught, Chris Chico, right? He's known for his postcards. Well, where did he learn it from? He took the merged postcard and he created some great tools on his own, and he did, And so, but now what I did is I created the Magic Bullet postcard, and that one postcard, you say, what's working today? My Magic Bullet postcard has been working, and I continued on Facebook and with my clients and reconnecting and all that. People are still using it. We're still using it. It still works. It's the number one postcard on the planet. Okay. My Magic Bullet postcard. Now I updated it recently because it was talking about the economy. So I just had to shift some wording around. But otherwise, it's a great tool, works all the time. My joint venture partnership program, all I had to do was have them send $700 worth of postcards a month. And usually they had more leads than they can handle. Okay. All right. Today, when it's hot, what's a hot market, you get less response. Okay. So you have to spend maybe $1,500 to make 50 or 100 grand. Okay. Using a creative, transaction engineer approach where you can solve a lot of different problems for someone who wants to sell a house. All right. So the Magic Bullet postcards, the discount zone is that every door direct mail. You've heard of that?
Yeah. From the post office.
Yes. It's through the post office, but you got to go through a printer. You got to get them printed. So you can go print them.
Right.
And you could keep a stack, and you could hit a carrier out of 300 people, right? And you could go mail those for 19 cents, right? But you have to print them, and you have to deliver them properly to the post office and all that. Okay. So what I found is that there's this remnant space you can buy from people that are doing these print houses that are doing mailings to areas, and they have this high capacity. And they offer to go ahead and print a 9-inch by 6-inch oversized, full color, double-sided postcard. You don't need a list because it just goes to everybody in the neighborhood. So you don't have to buy a list. You don't have any returns. It just goes to every single door in the carrier routes you select. And there's a map where you can select the carrier routes, these geographic areas that are discount zones. Because if they're a discount zone, you can print, mail, everything for 19 cents. Oversized postcard.
That's after you have to get them printed though first.
No. Printed and mailed for 19 cents today.
Who prints them?
There's 3 different companies that I've found online. If you Google discount zones postcards, you'll probably come across growmail.com. And there's 2 other ones like Impact Printing, and I think they're all 3 associated with the same company.
Okay.
Did you find it?
I'm about to.
Okay, yeah. Discount zone postcards. And it has to be a certain size, which is around 9 by 6.
Right.
I've also created the world's largest postcard, which is 15 by 12. And if you have a large postcard like that, the key is, what do you put on it, right? This oversized postcard that you mail to everybody in the neighborhood, what do you put on it, right? So that's where my expertise comes in, okay? Because you have a different strategy. You're not just looking to buy houses. You're also going to be targeting, occupants and vacant, there's strategy behind it.
So okay, let's dig into this real quick.
Yeah.
So when you use every door direct mail from the postal service, and I'm finding what you're talking about, by the way. I Google searched this, and there are folks out here, everything included for 19 cents. I see all this.
Does it have the little button where you go to the map?
That's on the postal service's website.
No. It's on that company.
Okay, yeah. I haven't done that yet. I'll dig around and look. But here's my question though.
Yeah.
So don't need a list because you're going to hit every single door. So what is our message? What are you specifically trying to convey when you're hitting every single door like that? Because everybody's not going to want to sell. Everybody is not in a position to sell. You're going to hit a lot of stuff that just you're not going to. There's just no interest here. A lot of folks are going after highly targeted lists, niche lists that are stacked, that have this tax lien,
which is what that's what you want to do today with You want to stack lists today when you're doing first class, yes.
Right, but you're hitting every single door. What's the message that we're trying to get across when we hit every single door?
Okay, it's similar to the same message that all those stacked lists. I call it the magic bullet postcard because it's the same message to every different list because it works on every list. Okay,
Okay.
but it's generally it's that we want to buy houses. Okay, and here's all the benefits that we offer. And because we are creative investors with a long-term buy and hold approach, we can actually say in the postcard that we can pay, more than any other buyer. We can pay top dollar. Okay, so that's an advantage. But even if you don't do that, as long as you have a buddy who can do that, right, or
For
call
sure.
me, right, you should advertise that. So the message on an oversized postcard in the past, it would just be for buying houses, even though it's going to renters and it's going to empty houses and it's not going to all the owners, right? If the house is vacant or whatever. So that's why you want to keep your costs down as low as possible because you have that waste. All right. Now, I have created an advertorial. It's like a free special report. It's like a 5-page special report. Does buying and selling have to be so difficult? Okay. So it talks about it's like an article about me being written about me on how I buy houses and how I sell houses and how I use private investors to fund all my deals. All right. So I would run that in a newspaper as a flyer, as an advertorial or whatever, or on you could put that on an oversized postcard. Now, you have a lot of space, but that you can have the whole thing to buy houses, but I would say I would have a message to buy and sell. Okay. So I would use that. I call it a 3-in-1 message because I have a lot of tools for a 3-in-1 message, including your $100 bill business cards, fold over die cut cards. I don't know if you've seen those. What you put in there is important. So now here's even better. You put as much of whatever you want to put on there. The biggest difference that investors have in their results is the message and the design. Everybody's using postcards. Everybody's hitting the same list, but people are calling on my postcard because number one, I try and avoid people that are getting a bunch of cards. That's a different list, right? I go to a different zip code. But if they are, we get calls saying, "Hey, I'm getting all these postcards, but I called yours because I like it." It read to them, right? So with the oversized postcard, you can put your marketing message on there, and you can actually have 4 panels. So one side is you. Well, one side's you, and then 2 panels on the back, or even more, where you sell that space to other marketers, your title company, your mortgage broker, any non-competitive person in the community that wants to hit that same area, and you mail your cards for free. That's what we're doing with the 12 by 15. That's more than space than we need, and we can have 5 marketing partners. We can get, it's the size of a regular postcard. We could sell that to 5 different people. Say, hey, you want to hit 10,000 homes?
Richard, I love that. That is brilliant.
I've been teaching that forever. But it's hard to get anybody to actually do it. So I'm setting up systems where we're doing that for people. I do create the templates for people. We are going to be doing, the discount zones is not that hard because if you just have any questions, just call them. They're helpful.
Yeah,
they'll help you out.
But Richard, this is really good right here. If I'm gonna buy houses,
yeah,
I can sell space on my postcard to a title company, or an attorney that closes in my state,
insurance, landscaping, contractors.
And this is so when I'm doing Facebook ads, for instance, I'm trying to figure out how I can get my Facebook ads for free. So I have like a lead magnet possibly, and I've got like a $9, like a free plus shipping book type of thing. I'm trying to get it to where the revenue I make off of my Facebook ad pays for all of my Facebook ads just by these little upsells and downsells and things like that. So this is an incredible way to get your postcards paid for, all of your marketing paid for, which means, Richard, in theory, we can send out unlimited mail.
You can send out unlimited mail.
We don't have a marketing budget anymore.
Look, every time I'm working with investors, when I solve one problem, it's the next problem. Okay. So if I'm known for giving people why would you do this if you have all the leads you can handle doing something, already working, right? Why even, create this new campaign unless you want to scale? Well, if you got something that's already scalable. So there's reasons why people don't do it, but I can get people all the leads they can handle. But once you have that, and sometimes you have to test the market, change the zip codes, but the message works. I know how the media works. I know how to make Facebook ads work for real estate investors as well as other types of businesses. And it's doing exactly the opposite of what everybody else is doing. Okay. So the what was it?
I don't know, but I just think selling space on your postcards is something I've never even thought about doing. And you can sell it to people who don't have a competing, it's a similar space, but it's not a competing business.
Right. And I've been doing that since 1984, because when I published that military discount coupon book, it was 24 pages of people buying it. Well, I guess I could have had my free ad in there, right? But I was actually being paid. And see that here, you can actually get paid for doing your mailings, all right, to mail. All right. So yes, okay. What I was saying is once you have, more leads than you can handle, then you need the capacity to handle more leads. And you also want to get better at converting more of your leads into deals. So that's when it's really important for a lot of people today, all the time, even especially today, is people are kind of a one-trick pony. They're not very, they're kind of too rigid on what they're trying to accomplish with every lead. You want to be more flexible. You want to give a seller multiple options. I just did a great call on this. It's called, it's a webinar. It's available for free on my website. It's called How to Magically Pull Deals Out of Thin Air. That's the name of and we covered the elements. I talked about the elements of a marketing campaign. We talked about the elements of a investing business model. So the elements are how you find your deals, what type of properties you're going for, how do you fund them, and then how do you make your money? You take those elements, and we have all our investing models. So you want to be a creative and flexible real estate entrepreneur.
Yes,
not investor, because we don't put our capital in. I don't put our capital into properties to get a return. We put our money into marketing and business, people and systems, business expenses. And marketing is not an expense; it's an investment. So a lot of people are happy getting 5 to 1 on their marketing, sending postcards or whatever they're doing. You should be getting 10, 20, 30, 50 to 1 on your marketing, depending on the media, how you're getting it out. Right.
No, I love that, Richard. I think that's thinking in terms of being an entrepreneur versus thinking in terms of being an investor. I love that. I think that speaks pretty heavily to the folks who are listening to this, especially if you can be kind of that creative, that transactional engineer type of person that you're talking about. Richard, how can we go ahead?
Well, that's okay. That allows you to steal ideas from other industries. When you realize you're an entrepreneur, you can steal ideas from other entrepreneurs in other industries. How did I come up with that Post-it note idea 20 years ago? I got a Post-it note on my door from the pizza company that said delivery notice. It was a pizza coupon. I said, that's pretty damn creative. So I created attention homeowner notice, right? And then it had my marketing message, right? So I just, you can expand your creative thinking when you realize you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner. It's not a profession of buying houses. It can be if you're a one-person show, But yeah, you want to treat it as a business. So that's how you make the big bucks. I found that most investors can only make typically about $250,000 on their own with a couple or something like that. They really have to have, so at least a VA and have some stuff outsourced. And it depends on their model though. But
Richard, where can we find that? For people that want to learn more about the buying houses, the transactional engineer types of things, the creative ways. You said that there was a webinar you just did on your website. Where can people find that and other resources that you might have?
Actually, it's right now, right at the top of my website, because we just did it last week. And when you register for the webinar, it says register to attend live or get the replay. So it's right there. It's at Roopodia.com. So that's Roop, ODIA.com. So Roopodia.com, ROOPODIA.com. That's the homepage. Now, also, I'm Richard Roop. So if you go to richardroop.com, right at the top of richardroop.com, it says, hey, you want some free stuff? Click here and it'll take you to Roopodia. Okay.
Got
So
it.
that's my online.
So everybody go to richardroop.com and click at the top. Or you can go to roopodia.com, but go to richardroop.com. That's easier. And I'll put I'll put both of those links in the description below. Richard, thank you so much for joining us again. Appreciate, obviously, learning more about marketing and the kind of like how marketing is and how it's kind of progressed over the years and how you've been at the forefront of that in the real estate industry. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for coming on the show.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm really happy you asked me to do this. It was great to hang out with you again. It's great seeing you all the time when we go out to these events. And I look forward to see. I'm already signed up for your event next year. So
it's awesome.
I'm going to be at your event.
Yes. And we're excited because you're going to be speaking. So we're excited about that. Guys, go to richardroop.com. It's ROOP, richardroop.com. Get some free resources. Get connected with Richard. Get into his ecosystem. He has a tremendous wealth of knowledge and puts out tons of free resources. So I want to encourage you to do that. Richard, thank you again. Guys, we love you. We're going to see you on the next episode of the REI Live podcast. See you next time.
All right. Thanks, Brian.